All right, boys. Week 10 NFL season is here. How we feeling this week?
Feeling good. I like what I got on paper.
That's how it all.
I'm feeling fantastic.
But if you've been with us the first 9 weeks, you kind of know the flow of what we're going to do here. We're going to just talk a little bit about week 9 and then jump into week 10. Gabe, I'll give you the floor, Mr. Champ, for this week. Talk a little bit about your studs and duds from the previous week.
So I'll start with the two that I was confident in but didn't perform amazingly. Bryce Young and Jalen Coker. Bryce Young kind of did his thing, got about 11 points, kind of what was projected at. Jalen Coker didn't really perform like I was expecting in that matchup, but they just traded away Deontay Johnson there. So he's not on this noon slate on DraftKings, but if you're doing any other games this week, Jalen Coker should be a good pick.
Yeah.
But if you follow the TikTok channel, you got insider information into my two best picks for the weekend. And that was Jackson Smith-Njigba and Chase Brown. Jackson Smith-Njigba was the highest scoring player for the entire day for 40 points. And Chase Brown had about 30. So those are my two core four picks that I'm most proud of, and they pretty much carried me in every single lineup. But if you don't follow the TikTok channel, you wouldn't get that information because when you get the most up-to-date information with injuries and stuff. So those are my two.
No, I love it. And they were relatively cheap players, under 7,000 for both of them. And I think Chase might have been right at 6,000 or a little bit under. So two really good pulls for last week. So that's kind of why we say, hey, stay close to the TikTok because we're updating things last minute as we get ready to roll into Sunday. Cole, how was your week 9?
My week 9 was mediocre. I really wish that I could tell you it went good. I had some very unfortunate circumstances happen to me that ruined any potential of me winning money. And it kind of gave me a little tease this week. I made it right on the outskirts, and then God was like, let's send Olave across the middle on this one. And Derek Carr put him on the head trauma unit on the hospital floor. It was
he
not
might
great.
be done for the season.
And if that wouldn't have happened, I'd be $10 richer right now. But
that's like
Carr put him on a stretcher.
That's daily fantasy
Carr's
for you
heading
right
out.
there.
Yep, Carr's heading out free tickets to the hospital. But
Hey,
as for my,
you did have some good luck elsewhere though, right?
I did. Yeah, Matt Stafford had a solid game. He put up 18.9. B. John had a solid game at 21, and then good old Mike Gesicki. Let me tell you something.
Hey, baby.
He was awesome.
My dad calls him Mike Gesicki because he's on his no touch list. But I'm on the sick train, man.
You're giving the sick table, Mike Gesicki, capital sick.
Yeah, he was sick. 30 points, and then Jacoby Myers performed as well with 21.5. So those are my studs. Now,
You had Mike Gesicki in your core four, or did you just highlight him?
Not in my core four. In my
highlighted
my lineups.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
but
that's good stuff.
No,
and you,
as for the duds,
I was kind of alluding to your other ventures this weekend at the tables, baby.
Oh yeah. We got lucky at the end there at the slot machines. If you guys are gamblers, like the Buffalo Triple Powers, they're gonna bring you back, man. I mean, I struck gold. I lost it all on the weekend of the daily fantasy, but I made it all back on the slots. And then some.
I don't encourage that.
I know, dude. I'm not promoting. You go pull a slot machine.
So if you guys are desperate, if you guys get desperate enough, it's you really
don't. If you get desperate, go get a job.
If you're desperate, you're down real bad on the weekend.
We do not promote if you're down.
All you gotta do is put it on black or red. One of those two is bound to hit. You just gotta hope it doesn't come up green zeros on the roulette table, boys, and you'll be just fine.
This segment might be cut, boys.
How do I mute this guy? How do I mute him? Can I mute this guy?
And if you have problems, call the hotline.
It sounds like you need to call the hotline.
They may have some tips for you to make it all back.
Oh my gosh. Well, it sounds like Gabe had an awesome week 9. You had a mediocre week 9, Cole, and I had a absolute failure of a week 9. I had one of the worst picks of my entire career. I went out on a limb, threw Gardner Minshew out there. He got benched in the first quarter, maybe the first half. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was awful. I think he had 3 points.
Oh, he
total,
got benched. I didn't realize he got benched.
Yeah, he got benched. Which is, I did allude to that in week 9 podcast. I said there's a chance he might get benched. So play at your own risk, and it blew up everything for me all week long. So tough week for me.
That's tough.
Because I had him paired with Jacoby Myers, and Jacoby Myers had a pretty good week. If only Minshew could have made it through the entire game. But he got benched. So tough week for me.
I'm surprised they benched him. What's the point of benching him? Like, your team sucks.
Desmond Ridder.
Like, why not just ride out? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they started him. They put Ridder in after.
Yeah, they put Ridder in just to see what they had with him. He was terrible too. I mean, they're in purgatory. It's bad.
Why would you not just start it then? Why would you not just start Ridder then if you're going to put him in anyway?
It doesn't make any sense.
Somebody needs to be fired. Is there anybody to fire there, or are they already fired their coach?
There ain't
Nobody
left
that
to
can
be fired.
I'll talk about Terrible Dud real quick. For some reason, he was hyped up to be the man, the guy with the number one defense that runs man coverage the most in Jacksonville. A.J. Brown scored 5.6 points.
It wasn't a good
was a
matchup.
solid pickup.
It wasn't a good matchup. It was a good matchup on paper, but not a good matchup in terms of game script. I didn't touch A.J. Brown because I kind of expected it to be a run-heavy Saquon day, especially after Jalen Hurts has vultured like 6 rushing touchdowns the last 2 weeks. I was like, they're going to try and get some Saquon action.
Yeah, 100%. Good call. The only positive I had in week 9 was Alvin Kamara with 30.5 points, no touchdowns. It's a pretty impressive week considering he didn't get in the end zone. So that was my one good grade of week 9. But hopefully this week, as we're diving into our values and our core fours, we can find some winners this week. But let's kind of shift gears here and go week 10. Let's go values for week 10. We'll start with the quarterback side of things. Gabe, you're the champion this week, so we'll lead with you. What do you have quarterback-wise that you see out there?
Yeah. I'm going to quote Brooks Lassiter, one of our good friends, one of his favorite movies. I don't ask you to judge me on my winners. I ask you to judge me on my losers because I have so few. And this week, I'm going Mac Jones, 4,400. As some of the value plays I look at with Trevor Lawrence and his shoulder injury. Yeah. Mac Jones he's finally got some talent around him after being in, like Britton said, purgatory in New England for a while.
Yeah.
So I like Mac Jones at that salary point. Derek Carr, 5,300 with a depleted team there. Dude, they're going to be down. They're going to have to air it out. I mean, I'm not saying as a must start, but fantasy is not always about good matchups. Like in terms of like, it's more about if you get a team that's going to have to throw the ball a ton, regardless if they get blown out. It's good for fantasy. Aaron Rodgers.
Here's the issue I have with Derek Carr is he's getting all his receivers killed. There's going to be nobody left to throw the ball to. I mean, yeah.
There is nobody to throw the ball to right now. The only person I can throw the ball to is Alvin Kamara and J. Taysom Hill. That's it.
That's it. So I can't touch. He may be on my no-touch list. We'll find out later.
If they get down 30 points in the first half, he just starts airing it out. I know, dude. It makes for a good fantasy day just because he's throwing the ball 60 times. So
airing it out to who? Who is he going to air it out to? Is the question that we're
Mason
asking.
Tipton, bro. Start him.
Yeah, Mason Tipton.
Okay, past Derek Carr. Aaron Rodgers, 5,700 against the Cardinals this weekend. Kind of showed last week that he is very capable of putting up good numbers with the weapons he has in New York. And then my last one, Sam Darnold. How the mighty have ascended, because he was down at the very bottom of our list with a no-touchy. Yeah. And he is now like we're giving recommendations for him at 6,200.
Yeah.
That's kind of my four I'm locked in on in terms of quarterbacks.
That's a great matchup against Jacksonville. The only thing that scares me a little bit about Darnold is kind of that game script. They could get up early, and I could see them just running the ball a lot. So that's the only thing that makes me a little bit nervous. But you talk about a defense that is struggling. I mean, he should be able to light him up if he gets the opportunity. So we'll see. I like it. I'm just playing devil's advocate there. Cole, QBs, what you got?
My QBs this week that I've chose for value. I went ahead and just chose two. I didn't feel like naming all of them. Let me go ahead and get this out the way now. If you play Mac Jones, you might as well go ahead and get on the Buffalo machine on Sunday, see if you can win it all back. Aaron
Enough of the Buffalo machine, man. Unless you're talking about the Bills, enough of the Buffalo machine.
Aaron Rodgers at 5,700 is a guy you're going to go with a lot of weapons. That's a guy I have picked out at 5,700. Then my second guy is Danger Russ, baby. Danger Russ is right there, about the same salary at 5,900. He's feeling dangerous. He's playing Washington. Him and Pickens have got a good connection. That's something to look out for a possible stack. But those are my two QB plays that I'm going with this week.
Yeah, we just we're about to kiss a death Mac Jones here, but I had him on my value for this week at 4,400, cheap. He's got some good receivers, decent receivers. We probably just absolutely destroyed any chance of him being successful this week because all three of us picked him. But my second quarterback I had picked for this week is kind of flying under the radar, I think, at 5,200. I'm going Justin Herbert. He's had 3 really good weeks. He threw for over 375 yards. No touchdowns, though, but threw for 375. The next 2 weeks, he's thrown for about 270 and 2 touchdowns. So he's really starting to air it out a little bit more. I think Harbaugh's kind of realizing that he's got a special talent with Herbert. So I think at 5,200, he is going against the Tennessee defense, which is pretty stout. I think it could be a tough matchup, but I do think he's playing well. So I like Herbert just from a price standpoint at 5,200. You're shaking your head no.
They ain't been tough at all since they haven't been tight. They haven't been tough since week 2, man. They're not tough anymore, so I love it.
Yeah, so 5,200. I'm a big fan of Justin Herbert there. I did have Sam Darnold as well, but you kind of already hit on that a little bit, Gabe. Let's go running backs.
One thing I was going to talk about too is So the last one, just on the higher end, I like to give at least one quarterback on the higher end that we can that we lost Cole.
No, we didn't. I just got to get something to put behind my back. I didn't want to leave a blank camera.
Yeah, you didn't want to move the camera. I don't think.
I gotta touch on. So Josh Allen at 7,700 against the Colts.
Big fan.
High scoring game, I imagine, for the Bills, but you gotta take your chance there with James Cook. Josh Allen has the potential to score multiple rushing touchdowns in that game. Along with Throson. So if you're looking for a low floor play at the upper end with a really high ceiling, that'd be Josh Allen this week against the Colts.
Yeah.
Now we can move to running backs. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Perfect. Is James Cook on your running back value list?
He is because some of the I feel like he's gonna get a ton of volume in a game. They'll probably be blowing the Colts out of. I expect so. He should get a lot of opportunities, but yeah, he's on my value list.
I love it. What else you got on there?
So moving towards running backs, I got, like I said, James Cook, and then like you said, Sam Darnold with that game script. I got Aaron Jones at 6,700. That's a pretty good value play there against Jacksonville's defense. And then I think my favorite play at the running back position, which I kind of talked about last week, I didn't really like it, is DeAndre Swift. 6,500. They just traded Khalil Herbert away to the Bengals. So I think that comes with a little bit of confidence there, I guess, in Chicago, that they think Swift can kind of carry the load. They may have gained a little bit of confidence with him getting a little bit more volume the last couple of weeks and kind of giving him more of a workhorse role there. That's what I'm kind of expecting. And then on your higher end, we've been down on Breece Hall lately because of his lack of pass catching ability. They're playing the Cardinals this week, and so I'm expecting him to get back involved in the pass game this week in a good matchup.
I like it. Cole, what you got value-wise?
So right now, I went ahead. This is going to be a risky play, but I feel like he's always going to get looks right now, or at least right now he is, and that's Kareem Hunt. He's listed at 6,600 salary. He's playing the Denver Broncos. It's a really tough matchup for him, but that offense is going to move the ball, and that offense is going to get down to the goal line. Hopefully, give him some touches. That's at least my outlook of it. I think they're going to swarm Hopkins and Kelsey on the outside with their great corner play and decent linebacker play. So I think Kareem Hunt is going to be the guy to go with, especially with Mahomes being able to throw to somebody on the outside. Should open up some stuff on the inside, hopefully get him some running room. The second play is, like Gabe said, DeAndre Swift going against New England. Solid matchup, solid salary. Go ahead and take a shot, see what sticks. He's had some good weeks.
I like it.
Yep.
So I'll touch on two. I had Aaron Jones like Gabe. I think that the matchup against Jacksonville and the script could potentially lead to a lot of rushing attempts for Aaron Jones against one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. In the last 2 games alone, or 2 weeks alone, he's had 21 touches and 25 touches, and that's what you want from a running back. And at 6,700 with that amount of touches, it's hard to not play him against such a crappy defense. So, and then my second one for you guys, I'm curious, are y'all in or out on Najee Harris?
I think I'm out this week just because of the matchup with Washington's defense. Like, Washington's defense has been improving the last few weeks, and you can just tell based on the people they're beating. Like, they're not playing bad, and they were kind of vulnerable, I think, at the start of the season. And they have a good front. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. I believe they're both still there. Yeah, yeah, Bama boys. So I'm not seeing a lot of, I guess, potential for Najee to get loose there. I mean, he's still got touchdown capability, but I mean, I'm not expecting him to be breaking loose for a lot of big runs this weekend.
See, I'm in on Najee Harris. He's had 3 consecutive great weeks, similar to Kareem Hunt. Now that Russell Wilson can get the ball to the outside of Pickens, it's softened up the middle of the defense. They've stopped stacking the box against him. So Najee in the last 3 weeks has gotten 23, 19, and 19. Granted, they're not playing fantastic defenses, but Washington defense is not fantastic, although they have been improving, like Gabe said. So I'm in on Najee Harris. I've got him in a lineup, and I'm rolling with him. So
yeah, I mean, at 6,200 coming off 3 straight 100-yard games, I'm all in. I think this is the value of the week right here. Najee Harris, I think he's got to be in your core 4. I know that Washington's defense has improved, but crazy stat for you. Washington has allowed the 5th most rushing yards in the NFL this season. So, yes, they're improving, but they're still vulnerable to the rush, I feel like. So, I'm going all in on Najee Harris this week. That is my value at the running back position. So, we'll see how it plays out. Last time I said that, I got murdered, so we'll see. But let's move on a little bit to receivers here. I think there's a couple interesting matchups. But Cole, we'll start here with you. Wide receivers, value week 10. You got any?
all right, so I'm shooting really low this week with 2 dangerous picks for my receivers. Jordan Addison's going to be number 1 at 5,300. I think that's going to be a possible matchup. If it goes into garbage time, I can see him still looking at playing. And then my second one's going to be, I mean, this is a really risky play with Pat Surtain and them out there, but DeAndre Hopkins at 5,300 as well.
Son, that ain't risky, baby. That's cash money. That ain't risky.
I feel like Mahomes getting him the ball is a lot different than Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. So DeAndre Hopkins is going to get those looks on the outside. 5,300, too good of a receiver to pass up. So those are my 2 guys that I have picked for value at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get DeAndre Hopkins at that price much longer. With Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, you better cash it in at whoever they're playing. I don't care if they're playing the dadgum 85 Bears. You better put DeAndre Hopkins in the lineup. You better go. You're going to absolutely kick yourself if you don't put a 5,300 salary DeAndre Hopkins in every single one of your lineups with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback, and that's just some truth and some cheese on it.
So, bleeding into your values, I'm assuming that DeAndre Hopkins is the top of the list for you, Gabe.
He is number 1. He is number 1 on the value list. He's in the core 4. He's in it all. Number 1.
Give us some. Give us some other value picks.
The rest of mine, with Drake London and Kyle Pitts both questionable with injuries, I'm looking at Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod. I like Ray McLeod way more than Mooney if London's out. But I still like Mooney even if London plays with that hip injury, it could be a one hit done for London, and then Mooney immediately jumps up to the number one. And then also in Buffalo, we got some injuries there too with Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper, both limited with wrist injuries. I don't know what they're doing in the locker room there, but Khalil Shakir is 6,000. Khalil Shakir is 6,000. Immediate number one if both those guys are out. And then I think my last one is Ricky Pearsall, 4,400 in San Francisco against Tampa Bay this weekend with no Ayuk and Juwan Jennings still questionable.
Yeah, I think Debo's still questionable too, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, but I think it's a rib and oblique for him. He played last week. He may be limited a little bit, but I think he'll play. And McCaffrey should be. We didn't mention this, but McCaffrey is expected to be back this week with his Achilles issues.
The real question is this week, boys, who's going to take that grenade and pick Drake London so that our Darnell Mooney pick can cash? That's the real question, because if one of us picks him, he's going to get into.
I'll tell you who's going to take it. The computer, the AI is taking Drake London.
AI
every week.
Drake London.
Every week takes Drake London.
Yeah,
every week, man. It's wild. It literally is every week. So I'll kind of
again this week.
Oh yeah, no, I saw it. I'll run through a couple quick values receiver wise, and we'll move to tight ends. But Cortland Sutton at 5,600. Last two games, he's had 8 catches for 100 yards and 7 catches for 122. He is going against a much better defense than the previous 2 weeks against Kansas City. But at 5,600, a number one target for a young quarterback, I still think you can find some value at Cortland Sutton at 5,600. I'm also riding with you guys here. I think that DeAndre Hopkins has got to be in all lineups, if not a majority of your lineups for sure. And then I actually like Garrett Wilson at 7,200 against the Arizona Cardinals. His targets have been through the roof, even with them getting Devontae Adams. It doesn't seem to be affecting his target share. I'm all in Garrett Wilson this week against not a great Arizona defense at 7,200. I still think that the way he's been playing lately, I think he's top tier right now. So I would definitely, if you're going to spend the money, go ahead and spend it on Garrett Wilson for sure. But we'll kind of shift over to tight ends as well. I'll start us since I haven't started us this week. Gabe, you remember all the way back to week 1? Do you remember that week? Do you remember what tight end I picked and said this is going to be the tight end of the year? I'm going back to the well, baby. I'm going back.
Dalton Kincaid? You going to Kincaid?
I'm going Kincaid.
Kincaid? Yeah.
So the reason I'm going Kincaid, you mentioned it with Shakir, right? You got 2 guys in the locker room with wrist injuries, Keon Coleman and Amari Cooper. Dalton Kincaid at 4,900 against a terrible Colts defense. Defense that's allowing 15.5 points to tight ends per game. Give me Dalton Kincaid. Any thoughts? Did I just bomb my lineup right there?
No, I mean, no, I don't think so. If those 2 guys don't play, Kincaid has shown he's getting a little bit more. I don't know what is going on with Kincaid and then offense. I mean, I expected him to be the best tight end this entire season. He just kind of hasn't lived up to it. But he's had some touchdowns in the past few weeks, so I'm not fully out on it. I mean, let it ride.
It's really weird though.
I am fully out on it.
It's weird though, because if you look at last year, you would have thought Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid would have been the guys to lead the tight ends this year.
Yeah,
it really is not played out that way, unfortunately. But Cole, I think you're about to say something hurtful about my Dalton Kincaid pick, so feel free to take the floor.
Buffaloes. That's all I'm gonna say. Look, man, my pick at tight end every time the Saints play the Falcons is going to be Taysom Hill.
Mm.
Taysom Hill, before he hurt his chest last time they played, had already had 2 touchdowns in the first half. He was set for a huge day, and then got hurt. So I'm going Taysom Hill till the wheels fall off against the Falcons. And then my second one is going to be Hunter Henry at 3,900.
That was my
He gets a
second
lot
one.
of targets. Yep, and he gets a lot of looks, and I think that's going to be my second play on a lot of lineups. So that's what I look forward to playing.
Yeah, listen to these stats since playing with Drake May. He's had 8 catches, 92 yards, 5 catches, 45 yards, 7 catches, 56 yards. He's had 9 targets, 6 targets, and 8 targets. I mean, it seems like Drake May really likes him, and at 3,900, I think that's a good value for this week for sure. I'm with you, Cole, on that. And you know what that means? Kiss of death.
He's going to get hurt.
Yeah, first play.
So,
all right, Gabe.
I'm going to throw a bold takeout this week. I think I got Taysom Hill just like Cole. I think this is the week that Taysom Hill throws a passing touchdown, catches one, and runs one in against the Atlanta defense. I'm going with a bold take. They have no weapons there besides Kamara. I'm going Taysom Hill. He goes for the trifecta, whatever the term is for passing, receiving, and rushing touchdown this week. Besides that, T.J. Hawkinson at 4,700. He got 4 targets last week and played, I think, that entire game. I'm expecting him to be getting healthier each week. Contrary to what Cole said with Jordan Addison, I've fell on that sword before. I'm kind of out on Addison right now. He's just not getting the volume, and I'm going to look more towards Hawkinson as kind of a leverage or contrarian play to the receivers in Minnesota, with Justin Jefferson being 8,800. I think Hawkinson will probably be one of the least I guess locked into lineup players for that team with Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson. So Hawkinson could be that guy. With the injuries in Jacksonville at the receiving core, Evan Ingram's still at 5,300. I mean, he's a target machine there. He gets a lot of looks. I like that play. But Hamstring Boy himself is back this week. So if you want to start on Dallas Goedert, 4,500 in Philly, he is back. I don't really like it as much, but this is what we were talking about, how the week before he got hurt was that, what did he have, like 160 yards against the Saints, and then got hurt the week after.
It was awesome.
Had a great game. So if he wouldn't have got hurt, I'm sure he'd be a lot higher salary than 4,500 this week. So that's kind of 4 guys I'm locked in on in terms of value. But yeah, like I said, Taysom Hill. This is the week for him. Trifecta.
Sweet. We'll see. I am all out on Taysom Hill. Not a fan. But
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I just can't believe you think that we're going to score 3 touchdowns.
I think Taysom Hill's going to score 3 touchdowns. I think Taysom Hill's going to score 3 touchdowns. I don't think we are going to do anything. I think Taysom Hill will. I just say we as in, like, I don't think anybody else in the Saints besides maybe Kamara will score a touchdown. I think
he's got to throw the ball to somebody.
Taysom's
got to throw the ball to somebody.
He can throw it to himself.
Throw it to Kamara.
Lob one up, hit it off an offensive lineman's helmet, catches it, touchdown.
All right, moving on to Core 4 here. Core 4 for Week 10. Gabe, we'll let you lead us off here. What do you have, Core 4?
Well, I've been very bullish on this. DeAndre Hopkins, 1. Taysom Hill, 2. DeAndre Swift, 3, 6,500. Aaron Jones, 6,700. Those are my 4 guys that I'm building around this week. No guys below 3,000, much to Cole's dismay. I'm sure he loves it when I have some guys that are cheaper, but
don't we all?
Guys I'm locked in on.
Sweet. Cole, what you got for us?
Let's see. This week I picked Equiminius St. Brown for one of my guys. No, I'm just kidding. That's one of Gabe's plays. Mason Tipton. No.
I love how you're roasting me after 2 A+ picks last week. Thanks. I love that.
All right, so my core 4 of guys that are actually going to put up actual points instead of just picking up 7. Aaron Rodgers, Najee Harris, Garrett Wilson, and Taysom Hill. Those are my guys that I've got starting in most of my lineups.
Awesome.
I didn't mention them for value and things like that, but those are the guys that I'm, still going to play. So,
I gotcha. My core four for this week is Justin Herbert, Aaron Jones, Hunter Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins. I'm kind of with Gabe. I think DeAndre Hopkins has got to be in all lineups. He's a must play for this week. I think there's a chance that my lineup could change by the time Sunday rolls around, depending on what the gut feel feels like. But that's the four I'm rolling with right now. And then kind of moving
there's a
into
lot of injuries. There's a lot of injuries news out there, but not a lot of guys who have missed practice.
yeah.
I think Tony Pollard's the only guy that didn't practice, but he also had the same route last week, and he still dominated that backfield last week. So I think that's the only guy that you might get some surprise news on Sunday.
Also, boys, I think the Ravens just busted like a 90-yard touchdown right here.
Who was it? Derrick Henry?
Something Wallace.
No.
Number 16.
Wallace.
Looks like somebody that could be in your core four next week, Dave.
Yeah.
He might be.
Who's this
He
guy?
stepped out of
What?
bounds. Stepped out of
What
bounds.
are we doing?
But moving on from core
Did he step
four.
out?
Yeah, I think he stepped out. And we're going to jump into our optimal lineups.
Yeah, moving on from the core four,
Go ahead.
I'll say this. Don't have the AI lineups pulled up right now for this coming up week because, like I said, we're going to wait until probably Friday or Saturday until some more injury news comes out. But the AI lineups this past week averaged over 161 points. That's enough to win you some money, whether or not you're in the top 5%. You're gonna be in the money if you score 161 in most leagues, as long as you're not playing with a million other people. That's a good output from the AI.
It's a great output.
As far as like what lineup I'm rolling out this week, I'm going to roll out Mac Jones, rolling out Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Darnell Mooney, 6,500, Brian Thomas Jr. with a Mac Jones stack, and then Taysom Hill, DeAndre Swift, one of my core four guys, and I'm going Broncos defense against Kansas City. Broncos D, 2,400, really cheap. I mean, against Kansas City, yes, great offense, but like I said, I'm not paying up for defense, and the Broncos defense has been phenomenal this year. Yeah, it's a bad matchup, but Patrick Mahomes is not immune to turnovers. I'll tell you that right now. All right. Next.
Cole, what you got?
All right, so my most confident lineup right now, I'm going with Sam Darnold at the QB1, Najee Harris, Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Hopkins, Brian Thomas Jr., Garrett Wilson, Taysom Hill, and Keon Coleman at the flex with the Broncos defense.
I like it.
Good call on the Broncos D. Good call.
Broncos D, baby. I love it. My lineup for this week.
What you got, Britton? What's your team?
I've got, I don't know if you saw me making some adjustments on the backside. I wasn't really paying that much attention to what y'all picked. Sorry. I've got Justin Herbert. Yeah. I got Justin Herbert as my QB. I've got Aaron Jones. Talked about Najee Harris already. Really like him this week. DeAndre Hopkins, Garrett Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Hunter Henry, Jonathan Taylor against the Buffalo Bills. That may change for me. And then I've got Broncos defense slide in as my
Broncos D. That's what I'm talking about. All alignment on the defensive pick. Now I've converted you guys. That's what I'm talking about.
Well,
I've been trying to convert you on the Broncos defense for 3 weeks, boys. I'm just kidding.
I'm talking about taking the cheapest defense on the slate. You guys have flipped completely from your putting defenses in the core four now to picking the cheapest defense.
No, I look for a defense that's good, that's cheap, that could possibly do something. Denver's definitely one of those teams.
Yeah. And to be fair to myself, I was in a dark place coming off that week where I picked the defense. It was dark. I had a lot of F's in my core four.
It's a dark week.
So I was trying to make something happen. I was trying to get too smart and get too cute, and I blew it. Okay, it happens. It happens.
Present. He
Britton,
was present.
I'm sorry. I have to. We've all been to that dark place, but last year in fantasy, I remember. I can't remember who you took out. Or who you put in, but you took out Kenneth Walker at the end of the season and put somebody in. And I was like, Britton, and you were like, I was in a dark place. He's like, I tried to do too much. I was like, no, you can't take out Kenneth Walker. It was funny. You try to make something happen, try to shake it up. I feel you, man. It happens. I've been there. Everybody's been there. It happens.
Missed the playoffs last year, in case you're wondering. But it happens. It happens.
Yeah, you gotta take chances, man.
Here's the
Did
problem.
you miss the playoffs? I thought you beat me in the playoffs.
No, that was 2 years ago. I wore you out because you made fun of Zay Jones and he went off for 35. I'll never forget. I'm just kidding, dude. I'm not. I remember that. I'll never forget. But yeah, but that's the thing about fantasy is you get hot and then you get in a dark place all of a sudden, and then you don't know how to get out, and you're picking defenses for the highest price on there and putting them in your core four. So it happens. It happens to the best of us. Just understand.
Oh, it happens to everybody. I'm not singling you out. I'm not singling you out. Trust me.
You were in that dark tunnel, and the Broncos defense was that one shining light in that dark tunnel.
I'll tell you this, Britton. Thank you for picking the Broncos defense and not going to the Buffalo slots. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, you got to know when you've
could have made it all back that weekend if you would have.
You lose your 25 cents and you move on.
Yes, thank you.
All right,
exactly,
so games we like for this week. I know we've kind of been all over the map this this evening, kind of jumping from one idea to the next. But games that we like, is there anything that stands out to you guys for week 10?
Yeah, I like Buffalo and the Colts. If Buffalo gets out early, Colts will have some value there because they'll be behind, so throwing the ball a lot. But Buffalo is going to have no problem moving the ball, I imagine. That game's also in Indianapolis, so it'll be on turf. So those boys should be moving pretty quick.
I got a question for you, Gabe.
Yeah.
I got a question. So I know Michael Pittman's listed as questionable with a back injury, I believe, is what I read this afternoon. If he cannot go, do you go Josh Downs as the number one receiver for Indianapolis, or do you throw a dart at somebody else?
I don't.
He'd be the number one receiver, but I go Adonai Mitchell.
Adonai Mitchell. I go Alec Pierce, 4,700. I was looking at that already. Taking downfield shots, he's a bigger target. He's the guy that can just pop off for a long touchdown at any point. And if they're down a lot of points in that game, Josh Downs definitely a good play. But I would probably lean more towards Alec Pierce.
Okay.
Josh Downs also is an injury magnet. He's a walking medical bill.
I think he's injured right now.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm pass.
All he needs is Derek Carr throwing on the ball.
Alec Pierce is sitting at 4,000.
Yeah, now we talked about
so
it.
He's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
But I cut you off. I'm sorry. I was just curious. In fact, I'm glad you brought up the Colts.
Oh, that was
I was curious what that looked like.
Yeah. Next game, last game, I'm really kind of focused on Minnesota and the Jags. Jags defense pretty much anemic and Swiss cheese. Minnesota's kind of vulnerable through the air, so if they can get something going there, get a high-scoring game, I like it.
It's gonna be tough with Mac Jones, but yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it'll be tough with Mac Jones, but like I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm a Mac Jones truther. He had some good games at the Patriots, and I think he just needed some help. And I'm curious to see what he does in Jacksonville. Yeah, their team's not amazing, but this will be the best set of weapons he's had in his whole career with Tank Bigsby, ETN, Thomas, Ingram. I'm curious to see what he does.
It's a pretty cool story too, because he's from Jacksonville, got recruited from Jacksonville to get to Alabama.
Oh, that's
so
true.
It's kind of a home game in his hometown. So it'd be interesting to see if he can get going with his family behind him and friends and supporters. So it could be a real cool game if he can get hot and light up Minnesota.
Yeah, that makes me love it even more. Yeah.
Fun fact of the day. Did my research. I'm just kidding. Cole, what games you like this week?
So I'm going to be a homer again. I like New Orleans versus Atlanta. I'm very interested to see what the offense looks like underneath Darren Rizzi as the interim head coach. I think the Saints are going to come out a little more energized and ready to play now that they've got the locker room cancer Dennis Allen out of there. I'm very excited. This guy's got this new head coach has got a fire about him. I think he's going to start taking some shots and start playing a little crazy. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I just want to see how it turns out, just from a fan standpoint. And the Falcons could also light the Saints up for about 30 or 40 points. Minnesota and Jacksonville, like Gabe was saying, it's going to be Minnesota in the first half. All Minnesota probably get up to a big lead early. And in the second half, you can watch Jacksonville try and come back and throw the ball to Brian Thomas Jr. about 100 times, hopefully, and get some points and stack them up. So those are my two games that I'm excited to watch.
I got a quick rant for you guys. I was talking to my wife this week, and she said, "Man, the Saints are always on TV, aren't they?" I said, "Yeah, that's what happens when you live in Lower Alabama. You get to watch the Saints, who are god-awful, for 16, 17 straight weeks. It is a freaking torture. Like, I don't want to watch Derek Carr anymore. I don't want to watch Derek Carr. I don't want to watch Kirk Cousins anymore.
Live in an NFL city and watch the Titans every week, man. I watch the Titans every week because it's a game on, and it's just terrible.
I'm going to disagree with you on that rant.
I just want CBS or Fox. I can't remember. I think it's Fox. Just show us a little bit of mercy and give me something. Give me anybody else besides the Saints. They're awful. Like, I'm tired of watching them.
Well, look, but the only mercy you're going to get on Sunday morning in this area is from the Lord.
That's true. Hey, we all need it. We all
the
need
only
it,
mercy you're going to get is from God on Sundays, because the Saints are not going to give you mercy. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be torture. It's mercy in the morning. It's mercy in the morning and torture in the afternoon, buddy. It's not good. There's been many a Sunday where I've had to negate my morning praise for afternoon hate. So you just gotta have to live with it for many more years.
So
Cole shouts out. Cole gives a good Jesus quote: "Lord, why have you forsaken me?" every Sunday, like Jesus said when he was on the cross. That's Cole every Sunday whenever he's watching the Saints.
Well, they always say the Lord gives or saves his toughest battles for his strongest soldiers. Well, I'll tell you what, right now I'm feeling like Achilles from the movie Troy, if y'all have ever seen that. Brad Pitt gives a great performance. Right now, that's how I'm feeling. It's rough. It's rough. Stack that with being a New Orleans Pelicans fan, and man.
All right, we got to move on.
All right, man. Let's move on to the no touch.
Yeah, I can't go down that hole. Hold on. Let me name my games real quick. 49ers and Bucks. I am very intrigued by that. That's I think both teams are kind of desperate to get rolling. And I think there could be a lot of fantasy points in that game because the Buccaneers defense is susceptible. 49ers are just kind of banged up, have been all year. So curious to see how that one plays out. And then the other game I'm really curious in is the Steelers and Commanders. It's a big game. Both of them are. I don't think anybody would have picked either one of them being 6-2 to roll into Week 10. So big game for the playoff standings and all that kind of stuff. I know the Steelers got a difficult schedule coming up, so I'm curious to see if they keep the ball rolling or kind of what happens in that one. But moving on to our favorite segment of the week. The no touchy segment. Cole, I'll let you start. No touchy Week 10.
My no touchy for Week 10. I'm going with the quarterback position. And I'm going to just have to say it. I'm going to go no touchy on Justin Herbert. I'm not a believer. Even though he's playing Tennessee.
Wow.
I'm not a believer. I'd also say, this isn't a huge risk, but I'd probably say Cooper Rush is also a no touchy. You get what you deserve. Quoting the Joker on that one if you play him. But maybe he'll go off. Those are my no touchy guys for at least quarterback. So y'all just go ahead and take the rest.
Hey, hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. We got Cole quoting the Joker and Jesus tonight, so we're spread out across the board for sure. Gabe, give us your
polar
no
opposites,
touchy.
man.
I'm out on Tampa Bay players. Every Tampa Bay player this weekend, I'm kind of out. Yeah, 49ers coming off a bye week. I'm thinking that defense is probably going to be a little bit it's going to be fresh and healthy. And McMillan and Sterling Shepard both have not practiced this week. Mike Evans not coming back. Godwin out. They just don't. They're just depleted, man. And San Francisco's defense is just elite. So I'm out
What
on
about
I'm out
what
on
about
Tampa Bay
Otten?
players, and he's at 5,100. It's about 15 points projected. If you go look at his projection on daily fantasy, what's he probably somewhere around like 10 or 11 points? I mean, it's price is kind of high for me. I don't.
Okay.
Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football, and I feel like he'll get the Kate Otten assignment since they're so depleted at receiver. I really don't like starting anybody against San Francisco's defense with Nick Bosa and those pass rushers either. Like I feel like Baker Mayfield's going to be on his tookus the
Yeah,
majority of
that's
the day. And then also, I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of out on Washington Commanders players against Pittsburgh's defense. I expect that to be kind of a low scoring game. I'm not. If you like betting overs and unders, take the under on that game, the Pittsburgh Washington game. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring.
Calling a shot.
Yeah, Gabe, y'all called quite a few shots tonight. I kind of like it. So for me, my no touchy list this week, I'm actually going no touchy on Buffalo receivers. Feels like everybody's banged up. Nobody seems to be at 100%, and I don't know who's going to be the guy. So I'm going. I'm not saying somebody's not going to be the guy. Somebody's going to be the guy against Indianapolis because the defense is terrible. I just don't know who it's going to be, and I'm scared to pick one because I know if I pick one, the other two will go off or the other one will go off. So I'm out on Buffalo receivers just with the injuries and with all salaries. I mean, if you look at the salaries of Buffalo receivers, they're all within like $500 of each other. So
Yeah.
they don't even know really who the number one is there. So I'm out on Buffalo receivers. And then the last person I'm out on this week, my no touchy, has got to be. I'm still. It's got to be Saints players. I've been on a rant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching Derek Carr. I'm not touching any of those receivers. Kamara, I'm tempted just because that's all they got. But Taysom Hill out on. I just don't want anything to do with Saints players. So as a blanket coverage, no touchy Saints out. And you can see that I'm not a huge Saints fan. Tired of watching it. They're trash. So I'm out on Saints players.
You're not a part of Who Dat Nation.
No, I've never been a part of Who Dat Nation after they crushed my heart in 2009, I believe. Peyton Manning.
Well, unfortunately, right now, the only way the Saints fans are saying "Who Dat" is whenever a receiver catches a ball. Who Dat that just caught that pass?
Oh, that's good stuff right there. Anybody else got any last minute thoughts before we wrap up Week 10?
Yeah, I'll say this about Buffalo: if Coleman and Cooper are both out, I do like Shakir in that spot.
Yeah,
as the number one at 6,000. If those guys are out, but like you said, if they're not out, then yeah, I'm a no touchy there too because I just don't. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick the right guy there.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Cole, any last minute thoughts? Are you good?
I'm good, brother. I'm good.
All right. I'm good as well. That's it for Week 10, everybody. Happy hunting, and hopefully it goes well for y'all. Hopefully better than it went for me last week picking Gardner Minshew. I deserve it. But we'll see you guys in Week 11. Good luck this weekend. See y'all.